bienvenidas y bienvenidos a una emisión más de Aprende en casa.
Una nueva oportunidad de compartir conocimientos de la asignatura de tecnología de tercer grado de secundaria.
Antes de iniciarlas, los invitamos a preparar papel y lápiz para que puedan tomar nota de todo aquello que les parezca relevante y para que puedan realizar la actividad que les indicaremos más adelante.
Recuerden que todo esto lo integrarán a su carpeta de experiencias y posteriormente lo compartirán con su docente.
Es bueno recordar que durante esta contingencia de salud que afecta a todo el país y buena parte del mundo, estamos aprovechando los avances tecnológicos para llegar hasta su casa o el lugar donde están pasando la contingencia, a través de la televisión y diversas plataformas web.
Esta es, sin duda, una propuesta diferente en materia de educación, cuya finalidad es que se acerquen a los contenidos de las asignaturas y áreas que cursan.
En este espacio buscamos llevarles conocimientos de forma divertida y dinámica para apoyar su desarrollo personal y académico, con la idea de que estén listas y listos para retornar a su salón de clases una vez que hayamos logrado superar la crisis de salud que actualmente vivimos.
Sabemos que la contingencia se ha alargado, pero también que han sido pacientes, que se han quedado en casa para evitar contagios y que han mostrado una actitud altamente colaborativa con su familia. Las y los invitamos a mantener vivas estas cualidades.
Ahora sí es tiempo de ir a los contenidos. En educación básica, la tecnología se divide en campos tecnológicos, como agropecuarias y pesqueras, de alimentos, de producción, de construcción, de la información y la comunicación, de la recreación y por supuesto de la salud.
Es importante señalar que la asignatura de tecnología les permite relacionar todo lo que estudian en la escuela, como matemáticas, español, geografía e historia.
Y que esto contribuye a que desarrollen sus saberes y les den sentido, y les permite comprender cómo es que todo el conocimiento se interconecta para el desarrollo tecnológico que conocen y del cual seguramente algunas y algunos de ustedes son actores innovadores y creativos.
En esta sesión abordarán el tema Criterios para evaluar un sistema técnico.
Es un tema altamente interesante, ya que la tecnología se encuentra presente en la mayoría de los ámbitos de su vida, ya sea como usuarias o usuarios, creadoras o creadores, o bien innovadoras o innovadores.
Cabe resaltar que, al evaluar los sistemas tecnológicos, se consideran criterios internos y externos, y es el propósito de esta sesión que utilicen los criterios internos, es decir, la factibilidad, la fiabilidad, la eficiencia y la eficacia en propuestas de solución a problemas técnicos.
La factibilidad permite responder la pregunta: ¿qué tan realizable es el proyecto? Es decir, si se cuenta con recursos económicos, materiales, técnicos, energéticos y costos, entre otros, con los que se pueda realizar.
La fiabilidad atiende la pregunta: ¿qué tan confiable es el sistema tecnológico? Es decir, si tiene un buen funcionamiento y supera los errores, las deficiencias y los imprevistos, de tal manera que genere confianza para cumplir de manera continua los objetivos planteados.
La eficacia se refiere al logro del resultado esperado. Está en relación con los fines deseados y los resultados imprevistos.
Y la eficiencia refiere a un nivel de rendimiento máximo dentro de un proceso técnico, en el cual se utiliza la menor cantidad de insumos y se genera la mayor cantidad de producto o resultado.
Las y los invitamos a ver algunos de estos aspectos en el siguiente video.
I'm Jasmine Lawrence, and I'm a program manager on the Xbox One engineering team. One of our biggest features is called Xbox Live. It's an online service that connects gamers from all around the world, and we rely on the internet to make that happen. This is no easy task, and there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes. The internet is totally changing how people interact and connect. But how does it work? How do the computers all across the world actually communicate with each other? Let's look at web browsing. First, you open a web browser. It's the app you use to access the web pages. Next, you type in the web address, or URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator, of the website you want to visit, like tumblr.com.
Hi, I'm David Karp, the founder of Tumblr, and we're here today to talk about how those web browsers we use every day actually work. So you've probably wondered what actually happens when you type an address into your web browser and then hit enter. And it really is about as crazy as you can imagine. So in that moment, your computer starts talking to another computer called a server that's usually thousands of miles away. And in milliseconds, your computer asks that server for a website, and that server starts to talk back to your computer in a language called HTTP. And HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And you can kind of think of it as the language that one computer uses to ask another computer for a document. And it's actually really pretty straightforward. If you were to intercept the conversation between your computer and a web server on the internet, it's mainly made up of something called GET requests. And those are really very simply the word GET and then the name of the document that you're requesting. So if you're trying to log into Tumblr and load our login page, all you're doing is sending a GET request to Tumblr's server that says get/login. And that tells Tumblr server that you want all of the HTML code for the Tumblr login page. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And you can think of that as the language that you use to tell a web browser how to make a page look. So if you think about something like Wikipedia, which is really just a big, simple document, and HTML is the language that you use to make that title big and bold, to make the font the right font, to link certain text to certain other pages, to make some text bold, to make some text italic, to put an image in the middle of the page, to align the image to the right, to align the image to the left.
The text of a web page is included directly in the HTML, but other parts, images or videos, are separate files with their own URLs that need to be requested. The browser sends separate HTTP requests for each of these and displays them as they arrive. If a web page has a lot of different images, each of them causes a separate HTTP request, and the page loads slower. Now, sometimes when you browse the web, you're not just requesting pages with GET requests. Sometimes you send information, like when you fill out a form or type a search query. Your browser sends this information in plain text to the web server using an HTTP POST request.
So let's say you log into Tumblr. Well, the first thing you do is you make a POST request. That is a post to Tumblr's login page that has some data attached to it. It has your email address. It has your password. That goes to Tumblr's server. Tumblr's server figures out that, okay, you're David. It sends a web page back to your browser that says, success, logged in as David. But along with that web page, it also attaches a little bit of invisible cookie data that your browser sees and knows to save. And that's really important because it's really the only way that a website can remember who you are. And all that cookie data really is an ID card for Tumblr. It's a number that identifies you as David. And your web browser holds on to that number, and then the next time you refresh Tumblr, the next time you go to tumblr.com, your web browser knows to automatically attach that ID number with the request that it sends over to Tumblr server. So now Tumblr server sees the request coming from your browser, sees the ID number, and knows, okay, this is a request from David.
Now, the internet is completely open. All of its connections are shared, and information is sent in plain text. This makes it possible for hackers to snoop on any personal information that you send over the internet. But safe websites prevent this by asking your web browser to communicate on a secure channel using something called Secure Sockets Layer and its successor, Transport Layer Security. You can think of SSL and TLS as a layer of security wrapped around your communications to protect them from snooping or tampering. SSL and TLS are active when you see the little lock that appears in your browser address bar next to the HTTPS. The HTTPS protocols ensure that your HTTP requests are secure and protected. When a website asks your browser to engage in a secure connection, it first provides a digital certificate, which is like an official ID card, proving that it's the website it claims to be. Digital certificates are published by certificate authorities, which are trusted entities that verify the identities of websites and issue certificates for them, just like a government can issue IDs or passports. Now, if a website tries to start a secure connection without a properly issued digital certificate, your browser will warn you. That's the basics of web browsing, the part of the internet we see day to day. To summarize, HTTP and DNS manage the sending and receiving of HTML, media files, or anything on the web. What makes this possible under the hood are TCP/IP and router networks that break down and transport information in small packets. Those packets themselves are made up of binary, sequences of ones and zeros that are physically sent through electric wires, fiber optic cables, and wireless networks. Fortunately, once you've learned how one layer of the internet works, you can rely on it without remembering all the details. And we can trust that all those layers will work together to successfully deliver information at scale and with reliability.
¿Qué les parece? Genial, ¿cierto? El Internet funciona de manera eficiente y fiable.
Sin embargo, se sigue evaluando y en función de ello cada día se realizan mejoras para que cada vez cumpla de mejor manera los objetivos para los que fue desarrollado.
Por otro lado, seguramente alguna vez han enviado mensajes secretos. ¿Cómo lo hicieron? Tal vez utilizaron una clave o código descifrado únicamente por ustedes y las personas con quienes compartieron dichos mensajes.
Les recomendamos leer el libro El enigma de los códigos secretos de María Mañeru. En él encontrarán métodos para esconder mensajes de las miradas curiosas.
Y mientras llega el momento de que puedan realizar esa lectura, las y los invitamos a ver el siguiente video. En él se muestra cómo los desarrolladores de este sistema tecnológico mantienen segura y secreta la información que se maneja en Internet a partir de cifrado y llaves públicas.
Hi, my name is Mia Gill-Epner. I'm majoring in computer science at UC Berkeley, and I work for the Department of Defense, where I try to keep information safe. The internet is an open and public system. We all send and receive information over shared wires and connections. But even though it's an open system, we still exchange a lot of private data. Things like credit card numbers, bank information, passwords, and emails. So how is all this private stuff kept secret? Data of any kind can be kept secret through a process known as encryption, the scrambling or changing of the message to hide the original text. Now, decryption is the process of unscrambling that message to make it readable. This is a simple idea, and people have been doing it for centuries. One of the first well-known methods of encryption was Caesar's cipher, named after Julius Caesar, a Roman general who encrypted his military commands to make sure that if a message was intercepted by enemies, they wouldn't be able to read it. Caesar's cipher is an algorithm that substitutes each letter in the original message with a letter a certain number of steps down the alphabet. If the number is something only the sender and receiver know, then it's called the key. It allows the reader to unlock the secret message. For example, if your original message is hello, then using the Caesar cipher algorithm with a key of 5, the encrypted message would be this. To decrypt the message, the recipient would simply use the key to reverse the process. But there's a big problem with Caesar's cipher. Anybody can easily break or crack the encrypted message by trying every possible key. In the English alphabet, there are only 26 letters, which means you'd only need to try at most 26 keys to decrypt the message. Now, trying 26 possible keys isn't very hard. It would take at most an hour to do. So let's make it harder. Instead of shifting every letter by the same amount, let's shift each letter by a different amount. In this example, a 10-digit key shows how many positions each successive letter will be changed to encrypt a longer message. Guessing this key would be really hard. Using 10-digit encryption, there could be 10 billion possible key solutions. Obviously, that's more than any human could ever solve. It would take many centuries. But an average computer today would take just a few seconds to try all 10 billion possibilities. So in a modern world, where the bad guys are armed with computers instead of pencils, how can you encrypt messages so securely that they're too hard to crack? Now, too hard means that there are too many possibilities to compute in a reasonable amount of time. Today's secure communications are encrypted using 256-bit keys. That means a bad guy's computer that intercepts your message would need to try this many possible options until they discover the key and crack the message. Even if you had 100,000 supercomputers and each of them was able to try 1,000,000 billion keys every second, it would take trillions of trillions of trillions of years to try every option, just to crack a single message protected with 256-bit encryption. Of course, computer chips get twice as fast and half the size every year or so. If that pace of exponential progress continues, today's impossible problems will be solvable just a few hundred years in the future, and 256 bits won't be enough to be safe. In fact, we've already had to increase the standard key length to keep up with the speed of computers. The good news is, using a longer key doesn't make encrypting messages much harder, but it exponentially increases the number of guesses that it would take to crack a cipher. When the sender and the receiver share the same key to scramble and unscramble a message, it's called symmetric encryption. With symmetric encryption, like Caesar's cipher, the secret key has to be agreed on ahead of time by two people in private. So that's great for people, but the internet is open and public, so it's impossible for two computers to meet in private to agree on a secret key. Instead, computers use asymmetric keys, a public key that can be exchanged with anybody and a private key that is not shared. The public key is used to encrypt data, and anybody can use it to create a secret message. But the secret can only be decrypted by a computer with access to the private key. How this works is with some math that we won't get into right now. Think of it this way. Imagine that you have a personal mailbox where anybody can deposit mail, but they need a key to do it. Now, you could make many copies of the deposit key and send one to your friend, or even just make it publicly available. Your friend, or even a stranger, can use the public key to access your deposit slot and drop a message in. But only you can open the mailbox with your private key to access all of the secret messages you've received. And you can send a secure message back to your friend by using the public deposit key to their mailbox. This way, people can exchange secure messages without ever needing to agree on a private key. Public key cryptography is the foundation of all secure messaging on the open internet, including the security protocols known as SSL and TLS, which protect us when we're browsing the web. Your computer uses this today anytime you see the little lock or the letters HTTPS in your browser's address bar. This means your computer is using public key encryption to exchange data securely with the website you're on. As more and more people get on the internet, more and more private data will be transmitted, and the need to secure that data will be even more important. And as computers become faster and faster, we'll have to develop new ways to make encryption too hard for computers to break. This is what I do with my work, and it's always changing.
A partir de la información del video, ahora saben que en Internet es factible enviar y recibir información de manera fiable, eficiente y eficaz, pues cuenta con las características que lo permiten.
Anoten algunas características de Internet que son muestra de su factibilidad, fiabilidad, eficacia y eficiencia. Después, reflexionen respecto a la relación que existe entre un mensaje secreto y el desarrollo de cifrado. y llaves públicas de Internet. Compartan su reflexión con las personas adultas de su casa y anoten sus conclusiones. Y finalmente, guarden su actividad en su carpeta de experiencias.
Existen personas que quieren conocer información de otras y buscan la manera de lograrlo a través de Internet. Por lo tanto, las y los desarrolladores realizan diversos sistemas de seguridad.
Las y los invitamos a ver algo al respecto a través del siguiente video.
Hi, my name's Jenny Martin, and I'm the Director of Cybersecurity Investigations at Symantec. Today, cybercrime causes huge problems for society, personally, financially, and even in matters of national security. Just in the last few years, hundreds of millions of credit card numbers have been stolen. Tens of millions of social security numbers and healthcare records were compromised. Even nuclear centrifuges have been hacked, and unmanned aerial drones have been hijacked. This is all done by exploiting vulnerabilities in hardware and software, or more often by taking advantage of unintentional decisions made by the people using the software. The people committing these cybercrimes don't fit a single profile or motivation. It could be anyone from an international terrorist to a teenager competing for bragging rights. Today, the largest countries not only have a regular army, but also have a well-armed cyber army. In fact, the next world war may not be fought with traditional weapons, but with computers used to shut down national water supplies, energy grids, and transportation systems.
Hi, my name is Parisa, and I'm Google's security princess. I've worked on a lot of different Google products in a lot of different ways to try and make our software as secure as possible. Now let's take a look at how cybercrime works under the hood. We'll learn about software viruses, denial of service attacks, and phishing scams. In biology and life, a virus is an organism that is spread by coughing, sneezing, or physical contact. Viruses work by infecting cells, injecting their genetic material, and using those cells to replicate. They can make people really sick and then spread to other people. A computer virus works a bit similarly. A virus is an executable program that gets installed, usually unintentionally, and harms a user and their computer. It's also possible for a virus to spread itself to other computers. Now, how does a virus get on your computer in the first place? There are a couple ways an attacker can infect someone's computer. They might lure a victim into installing a program with deception about the program's purpose. So, for example, a lot of viruses are disguised as security updates. It's also possible that the software on your computer has a vulnerability, so an attacker can install itself without even needing explicit permission. Once a virus is on your computer, it can steal or delete any of your files, control other programs, or even allow someone else to remotely control your computer. Using computer viruses, hackers can take over millions of computers worldwide, and then use them as a digital army, otherwise known as a botnet, to attack and take down websites. This kind of attack is called a distributed denial of service. A denial of service is when hackers overwhelm a website with too many requests. We call it a distributed denial of service when the attack comes from many computers all at once. Most websites are ready to respond to millions of requests a day, but if you hit them with billions or trillions of requests coming from different places, the computers are overloaded and stop responding.
Another trick used by cybercriminals is to send large amounts of spam email in an attempt to trick people into sharing sensitive personal information. This is called a phishing scam. A phishing scam is when you get what seems like a trustworthy email asking you to log into your account, but clicking the email takes you to a fake website. If you log in anyway, you've been tricked into giving your password away. Hackers can then use your login credentials to access your real accounts, to steal information, or maybe even to steal your money. Fortunately, there are many companies, laws, and government organizations working to make the internet safer. But these efforts are not enough. You may think when a computer system gets hacked, the problem was the security design or the software. 90% of the time a system gets hacked, however, it's not because of a security bug, but because of a simple mistake made by a human.
It turns out there are steps we can all take to protect ourselves. Often, your actions not only impact the security of your own data and computer, but the security of everyone at your school, workplace, and home. With billions or trillions of dollars at stake, cybercriminals get smarter each year, and we all need to keep up.
¡Maravilloso! En Internet hay mucha seguridad para que puedan buscar, enviar y recibir información.
Sin embargo, para mantener su información segura, deben poner algo de su parte. Por ejemplo, evitar abrir los mensajes de personas desconocidas, ya que pueden tener malas intenciones. Así que cuídense.
De acuerdo con la información que vieron, reflexionen en torno a las siguientes preguntas.
¿Qué daños puede ocasionar un virus informático en un dispositivo electrónico como un smartphone, una tableta o una computadora personal? ¿Cómo pueden protegerse de un virus informático?
¿Creen que el Internet se realizó con base en criterios de factibilidad, fiabilidad, eficiencia y eficacia? Comenten sus reflexiones con las personas mayores de su casa e inclúyanlas en su carpeta de experiencias.
Lamentablemente, el tiempo se nos ha terminado, pero recuerden que pronto tendremos una nueva cita aquí, en Aprende en Casa.
Un espacio en el que pueden aprender los temas del grado escolar que cursan. ¡Hasta pronto!
¡Hasta pronto!